Today, let's talk about why you lack confidence. The first thing to understand is that you're not alone. A lot of people lack real confidence. So you aren't unique in that regard. And there are some things that you can do to build your confidence. But I think you have to start with understanding the three things or the three reasons why you lack confidence. So we're going to start there. But first, let me just introduce myself. I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you a fit and flourishing future. And I'm also the youngest son of Bill Johnson. Want you to go ahead and subscribe and also like if you hear anything that resonates with you today. So let's get started. This is not going to take too long. We're just talking about how you can build your confidence up. Okay. So there are three principal things that cause you to feel less confident than you like to feel. And coincidentally, they all start with I. I didn't plan that. I just, as I thought about it, um, and I identified the reasons, they all just by happenstance began with the letter I. So uh, the first one is ignorance. So ignorance is very simply a lack of knowledge. Um, when you're in a situation, especially a situation where you feel as though you should be knowledgeable about the topic or whatever is going on, and you just don't know anything about it, then of course it's going to affect your confidence. You're not going to feel great about the fact that you have no clue what's going on. A way to think about this as just as an example is think about the times, because we've all experienced this, where you're in a conversation with, let's just say it's like five or six people, and everybody is talking about this one thing, the topic that you don't know anything about. And so even though you're there and you are ostensibly part of the conversation, you're not really part of the conversation, and you don't really feel confident in chiming in because you have no idea what everyone else is talking about. Even if they assume that you do know what they're talking about, the problem for you is that you actually know that you don't know what they're talking about. And so you just kind of sit there and don't say much, and kind of just go along with the conversation, but you don't contribute because you don't have the confidence to contribute because you don't have any knowledge about what everyone else is talking about. Of course, confidence is a much bigger conversation than that. You can go through life feeling like you're not confident in a bevy of situations. And again, ignorance is one of the primary contributors to that. So the question is, what can you do about ignorance? And I always tell people this: always be reading and always be learning and always be applying what you learn. The more that you learn, the more, first of all, the more that you realize you don't know. Paradoxically, it seems like the more that I learn, the clearer it becomes to me that there's so much more for me to learn. But nevertheless, the more that I learn, yeah, I mean, I do get more confident. Having knowledge does increase your confidence. It does allow you to do something very simple, like just follow conversations. You can even fairly complicated or esoteric conversations. You will find that by keeping yourself well read and just always keeping yourself always in the mindset of learning new things, you will be able to just follow, technical conversations, esoteric conversations, conversations that they can kind of start getting deep and profound. And you won't be able to do that if you're not, always learning, and especially always reading. Just read and keep learning. Okay, learning is so important to increasing your confidence. If you're just walking through the world with a lack of knowledge, and you just feel all the time like you know so much less than everybody else, you're never going to have confidence. Okay, so keep learning. Now, the number two thing that messes with your confidence is ineptitude. So, if ignorance is a lack of knowledge, then ineptitude is more of a lack of ability. So, just to, you know, the ability to do something, and especially to do something that's valuable, something that contributes something valuable to the world. So when you are inept, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to feel confident because you don't have ability, right? So this could be one of the things that is affecting your confidence. And the only way that you can fix this is you have to, put your mind to being great at something in life. You don't have to be great at everything. Matter of fact, you don't necessarily have to be great. Just start by being competent. This is the you've got to get competent, and the only way that you can get competent again is learn new things, apply the knowledge, and repetitions. Keep doing something over and over and over until you get good at it, and then you take it to the next level, and then you keep doing it over and over and over, and you build your competence like that. When you build your competence, then in turn, your confidence will grow because you begin to develop your ability. And just a small note about greatness or being great at something. Like I alluded, like you don't have to be great at everything. You really only need to be great at one thing in life, or maybe one or two things. If you think about some of the most successful people that you're aware of, whether they're people that you know personally or just people who are maybe they're famous and you know about them through the media, a lot of times they're only great at one thing. Like they built their entire reputation and their entire career on one thing, just being great at one thing. So don't think that you have to be a master at everything. That's not true at all. When we're talking about conquering ineptitude, we're just saying like get get good, if possible, get great at just like one or two things, right? And that's going to build your confidence. Okay, so what is the third thing? The third thing again begins with I, and it is intimidation. Now, when we think about intimidation, intimidation is fundamentally a feeling of fear or timidity that you will have around certain people or certain situations. And so intimidation, we're all in situations from time to time when we feel intimidated. Some of us, I think the older that we get, the less that is true, but especially the younger that we are, we'll find ourselves in situations where we're intimidated by a situation or maybe a certain person or something like that. And the key to understand is that, it's natural. It's totally natural. Sometimes you may feel that you're on a lower level, and you're just not up to snuff. You may feel that you're in an environment that doesn't fit you, where you don't feel like you belong in that environment, and so that can it can lead to a feeling of intimidation. So one of the best ways that I know to really conquer that feeling of intimidation is to get fit. You knew I was going to talk about this, didn't you? If you are not in the best shape of your life right now, I want you to understand how powerful getting fit will be for building your confidence, and especially for counteracting that feeling of intimidation that you feel when you're around certain people or in certain situations. And I thought about why does getting fit and especially transforming your body composition so that your physique actually transforms before your eyes, right? Like, why does that build confidence, and specifically, why does it lessen the amount of intimidation that you would feel in certain situations or around certain people? And I think it's because when you get really fit and you are literally transforming your body, and you can see it in the mirror, like there's no doubt about it. You look at where you were 6 months ago or a year ago, and then you compare to what you see today, and it just looks different. It looks better. Like your body just looks great. There, the thing is, when you're working out, you're always you're always conquering discomfort. Or a better way to put it maybe is to say that you have to embrace discomfort. You have to face up to discomfort, embrace it, and basically overcome it. You have to work through it. This is really the only way you're going to transform your body, because it requires a certain amount of intensity to transform your physique. Okay, and to really create a greater physique, you have to work out with some intensity. But that requires facing up to discomfort and saying, you know what, I know it doesn't feel good. I know it's uncomfortable, but I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep on putting in those reps, right? And over time, you achieve that personal transformation. And it gives you such confidence when you step outside of the gym, because you realize, you get a sense that, if you could transform your body in the gym, then could there be other ways you could transform your life outside of the gym? You begin to get a certain kind of confidence that you can change yourself for the better. You can grow. And it works out so great for you, because you find that when you are in situations that in the past would have intimidated you, or when you are around certain people or certain kinds of people who in the past would have intimidated you, you no longer feel that sense of intimidation, because you've trained your mind we talked about the body, but think about it. You train your mind in the gym to face up to discomfort. And when you have trained your mind to face discomfort and to conquer discomfort, it's very, very hard for you to feel intimidated simply being around certain people or simply being in certain situations. So this is definitely going to help with those feelings of intimidation that you have. Get yourself in great shape. Okay. And it's obviously going to boost your confidence in general. The better, shape you're in, the more, frankly, the more attractive, your physique looks, the more confident you will feel. And it will radiate outwards, and people will be able to pick up on the fact that you are a confident person, and they will gravitate towards people like being around a confident person. Okay, as long as you're pleasant to be around, as long as you're nice. I mean, people gravitate towards confidence. Okay, so you can magnetize people to you. You can be more confident. Okay, get yourself in shape, learn. All right, and get great at something in your life. You got to do these three things, and this is how you build your confidence. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Okay, so I want you to, if you need to go back and play this video again, and just to let it, really hit home, then go ahead and do that. And then when you go to bed tonight, think about it and let this message just marinate. Okay, let it marinate. Let it sink in, and then I want you to take action. Nothing matters if you don't follow through with action. Okay, so I want you to take this with you, and I will talk to you next time.